At First State Community Bank, our why is simple: to bring a positive impact to every community we serve. We are your neighbors and partners in building a stronger hometown. We work side by side with our community to help local businesses grow and families succeed. Our team takes the time to understand what matters to you, combining personal services with the latest technology so you can bank your way. Stop by one of our locations or visit us at fscb.com.
American energy dominance. It's how we secure our future. By harnessing homegrown energy, we fuel our economy, power industries, and drive innovation. At NextEra Energy, we're investing more than any other company to deliver low-cost, reliable energy that powers our country's future. NextEra Energy Resources, ahead of what's next.
Mathis Funeral Home of Dexter and Bernie strives to provide their community with the accommodations and services needed to relieve your family during times of loss. For more information, give them a call and see how Mathis Funeral Home can help meet your expectations in celebrating your loved ones.
At SEMO Health Network, we strive to provide caring and affordable health care. We provide medical, dental, OB, and behavioral health services to everyone that may need it. For more information, visit our website and let SEMO Health Network take care of you.
Agriculture is not a fad, and it's not for the faint of heart. Long days become long nights, sacrificing time away from your family, even on weekends, just so you can get the crop in and get the crop out. This is your way of life. At Farm Credit Southeast Missouri, we are 100% bought into your commitment. Because we are customer-owned, it is our mission to be your ag lender, and we intend to be your value-added partner for next year and the long term.
Your ag lender will always be there.
Your animals depend on you every day. So we build equipment you can depend on every day. So cutting hay, feeding livestock, and managing land is easier. Loaded with intuitive, innovative features and tech, Case IH equipment isn't just built to work. It's built to work for livestock producers. Case IH, built by farmers. Talk to your Baker Implement dealer today.
At Southern Bank, we're never not helpful.
Attaboy. Way to hustle for the muscle.
Helping positive gym bros and everybody else.
This is us.
At Young Real Estate, We understand the importance of face-to-face interactions. Our experienced agents are here to listen to your needs and personalize your home buying or selling experience. But we also recognize the power of technology. Young Real Estate offers virtual showings, allowing you to explore properties from the comfort of your own home. Young Real Estate, where technology meets a personal touch. Your dreams, our expertise. Contact us today and let's make your dream home a reality.
At Focus Bank, we understand your community because it's our community too. With branches across Southeast Missouri and Northeast Arkansas, Focus Bank offers services such as fraud protection, really free checking, and mobile banking that lets you bank simply and securely, anytime, anywhere. Stop by any of our branches or visit us online to open an account today. Plus, you'll receive an awesome free gift just from opening your really free checking account. And when you refer someone who opens an account, you'll both receive a gift. Focus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We're not saying we'll bubble wrap your money, but we do protect it like family. At First State Bank and Trust, your money is safe with us. First State Bank and Trust.
In farming, the weather always cooperates. The soil is always balanced. Seedlings always flourish.
But that's fantasy. This is farming. Seed, bred and tested for your reality. Dynagrow Seed, for real.
At First State Community Bank, our why is simple: to bring a positive impact to every community we serve. We're your neighbors and partners in building a stronger hometown. We work side by side with our community to help local businesses grow and families succeed. Our team takes the time to understand what matters to you, combining personal services with the latest technology so you can bank your way. Stop by one of our locations or visit us at fscb.com.
American energy dominance. It's how we secure our future. By harnessing homegrown energy, we fuel our economy, power industries, and drive innovation. At NextEra Energy, we're investing more than any other company to deliver low-cost, reliable energy that powers our country's future. NextEra Energy Resources, ahead of what's next.
Good morning, high school basketball fans, and welcome to the 4th Aycorp Sports Bloomfield Christmas Tournament Seating Reveal Studio Show. That's a name, isn't it? Brought to you by First State Community Bank. I'm Philip Britt. We've assembled a very knowledgeable panel of basketball observers. Bobby Alford, James Hodges, David Jenkins to share their insight with you today. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, which means it's almost Bloomfield Christmas Tournament time. Let's get to know our panel. James Hodges, tell us who you are.
James Hodges, been in education, 25 years, coach high school baseball in the area, and currently doing play-by-play with the basketball for Aycorp Sports, and glad to be on board this year, Philip.
Absolutely, glad to have you here. Bobby?
Bobby Alford, 7 years in the booth now. Boy, time has flown. 5 years with Aycorp. Man, just really enjoy the high school football, the basketball. This deal, being from Dexter, kids in Dexter, I was always a Bearcat fan, but now I'm just a high school sports fan. I mean, Aycorp's made me that way, and very thankful for it. Glad to be a part of it.
This is our 4th show, and Bobby's been on every one of them. So, David?
David Jenkins. I worked for a long time at the Sykeston newspaper up until about 3 or 4 years ago. Then started doing some games here for Aycorp Sports. I do a podcast here for Aycorp Sports, and just pretty involved in the local sports scene for a lot of years.
Absolutely. So glad to have everybody tuning in. Glad to have you with us today. All right, guys. So let's kick it off with some conversation about your impression of this tournament, what you think it's going to be like, maybe even who your top seed is coming in today. So, David, will you kick us off with that?
Sure. It's this year's tournament. It seems to be a little more top-heavy than it's been in the last few years, but I think it's still a good field. The top 4 or 5 teams, I think, have a really good chance to win it. But there will be a lot of good games. Last year we had the most overtime games in the history of the tournament, had the first overtime game in the history of the championship games. So, it was a great tournament. I think it'll be another one this year. As far as for a top seed, I mean, Dexter's probably earned it after winning or finishing second in the SEMO Conference tournament last night. But, Puxico, you can't look past them either. They are a very formidable team and the defending champion. And until someone knocks them off, it's almost hard to pick someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. James?
Yeah, I think I agree. It's going to be top heavy. Those Stoddard County teams. We had the pleasure of covering the SEMO Conference tournament last night. Dexter looked really good. It's a tournament they easily could have won. Looked really strong in the first half, and then Sykeston came and did what Sykeston does in the second half and ended up winning it. But I think Dexter did what they had to do. We'll see let the coaches make that decision and let that play out. I haven't got to see Puxico yet this year, but like David said, defending champs, and so they're going to be here to play. I did most of the games at the Bernie tournament. The Bernie Mules are real strong guys. I got to see a lot of teams in that tournament. Risco, they look good. I covered Bloomfield and some of those teams. So and Malden. Malden's another team on the rise. Coach Fowler coming up, state championship coach at Campbell, and now he's at Malden, done a great job in a short amount of time. So it should be fun. But those are some teams I'm watching right now.
All right, Bobby, what do you think?
I agree with David. It's going to be a top-heavy tournament. I'm going to throw Van Buren's name in there and Malden with the other 3 we've talked about there, the top 3 we think. But after that, I mean, there's a lot of teams you could throw a name and a hat on with the rest of the way out after the top 5, I think. But we'll see what the coaches say. But I think there's going to be some competitive games after that 6 through 16 seed. But I think it really gets fun day 3, day 4, looking at these top 5 seeds. But I'm sticking with what I said last night. Undeniably, I think the Dexter Bearcats are the #1 seed. People question that. Well, they've got losses. They're down, but it's still a Class 5 school. They beat in Cape Central. Nobody else can say that on their record. Charleston always has a good basketball program. They lost to them with 2 starters just coming out of football season, fresh out of football season. And then, they only lost that game by a few points there, and it's in the late going to that game they lost. Then you turn around and beat them. So you get a little rust knocked off, you come back and beat them. You beat Malden, who we say is going to be a top 5 seed. Has anybody else in this tournament got a top 5 win outside of Dexter?
And I think that's the argument for Dexter to be that top seed. I mean, I think that's why I think they've earned it. But, Puxico they look good, but they just haven't played the competition that Dexter's played. So I think the coaches probably go with Dexter. Here's a fun fact for you. Dexter's been a #1 seed 8 times in the history of the tournament. Every year that they've been the top seed, they've won it. So could be big for Dexter to get that top seed.
Yeah, and also look, Dexter almost knocked off Sykeston. Should have knocked off Sykeston last night. They lost control of that game late, but again, nobody else has shown me they have played that competition that well yet. The SEMO Conference shares a lot of weight. It did last year, and it's going to do it again this year. Dexter's your #1.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, whether Dexter goes off and wins the tournament, that's going to be up to their team, their kids on the floor. But I feel like they did what they had to do, especially throughout the tournament at Sykes at the field house in the first half. And I agree. I mean, they're proven on the court with wins against quality teams. So
now, had they laid the egg last night, those quality teams, that would have been bad because they didn't play well against Cape Central and won. But you lay an egg last night, it's a different story, I think. I think Puxico's your #1 then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dexter's performance last night put them, I think, in the top seed. Yeah. I know there were some coaches there last night from the area that are going to be in this tournament, and I mean they had to notice that hey, Dexter looked pretty good last night, especially for the first basically 3 quarters. They kind of get lost it there in the fourth, but they have the ability to look really good, and so it's a tough. It'd be tough to overlook them as that top seed.
Well, that was going to be my question. You mentioned that all of you have mentioned the resume, who they've played, but what does the eye test tell you? What is watching Puxico, Dexter, Bernie, what does the eye test tell you? When you watch them play, and you've seen all 3 of them play at some point or another, what do we see?
Well, I mean, with them, I think, you know, Bernie is very dangerous from the perimeter. You know, they can come out and shoot. And inside you got John Aycorp, so they got good inside-out game along with Dexter. I felt like Dexter did a really good job of handling Sykeson's pressure last night. They were very deliberate, breaking the press. They got the ball to the middle of the court and did a good job with those football players. Devin Turnbow coming off, Landon Annister coming off football season, and Geatley coming off leading one of the most successful football years for Coach Chad Jamerson's Bearcats. And they did good. I haven't seen Puxico yet this year, but just with what they've got coming back, I mean, and again, I know so far Landon Burchard's had 2 40-plus games. They've got a sophomore that's lightning quick coming off, and just some of their role players make Puxico a very, very dangerous team. And the fan base at Puxico, guys, I mean, they're very well traveled. I mean, they're going to fill the arena up at the historic
Puxico fan base?
No.
No.
Well, you do have a T-shirt, right?
Yeah, I got T-shirts.
Probably wearing it under this.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw some orange speaking out. So.
I think Puxico and Bernie have both looked very impressive so far this season, but against lesser competition. So I'm like, it's tough to compare this early in the year. I mean, they're both very, very good. I have very good players. But Dexter, like we talked about, has played tougher competition. So whenever you're trying to get a seed together for this, I mean, I think Dexter has earned the top seed, and you know, Puxico and Bernie, you know, have the 2-3 in my opinion. But do I think that Puxico and Bernie can win this tournament? You better believe it. I think,
absolutely.
I think that they have a very good chance to win this tournament. It's just, you know, they're going to have to, you know, probably face one another to get to that championship game.
That's exactly what I think is going to be the issue. The number 1 seed is hugely important because 2 and 3 have to play each other to get to them, and that's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a lot harder than playing the 4, whoever the 4 winds up being, in my opinion.
And hey, look, for Puxico, they got 2 All-Staters coming back. And Dexter, well, you got a team full of players that Puxico beat last year, and these All-Staters were on that. So Puxico has a viable point there.
Sure.
They've got that, but last year's over with. And this year, but they do, I think, have the best player in the tournament. That's Landon Burchard. He poured in 41 the other night, 2 40-point games already. Dexter right now doesn't have a kid that's going to pour in 40 points. So for that, I mean, hey, I'm going to plug Puxico a little bit there, and I think they brought in kids and are bringing up, and they've got a great program coming up right now. I mean, that's the sexiest name in town, if you ask me, is Puxico, the way that coach and the town's on fire for them. The way they're bringing these kids up and developing, I like what Puxico did to develop players there. They've got a real reason to say that, but I think last night put Dexter there, but had it not been last night, Puxico overwhelmingly.
Yeah, we just, you know, some of the star power, we talked about that off the air, you know, that Sykeson's had in the past, and then, you know, in the CMOS conference, you know, we didn't see as much, but, you know, with Puxico, they've got that coming back in Landon Burchard, and that's a kid that can strike at any time. Knock it down, so it should be interesting. But I agree, Philip. I agree with you. You know, it's going to be important. I think who gets this 1 seed, because I think the 2 and 3 is going to beat up on each other, and that could come into play.
Sure.
You know, as far as fresh legs, you know, in the final day of the tournament, and who wins this thing and who survives it.
Don't forget though, if let's say Dexter gets the 1, and let's put Malden that 4 or 5, and they beat maybe a Van Buren. Dexter only beat Malden by 7. That game's not a lock for Dexter to get the championship.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point, and that's a rivalry game too. I mean, that's, you know, just on Highway 25. I mean, a lot of times you can throw out records and set rivalry games. I mean, the kids know each other. That's a good point.
And Malden's upset Dexter in this tournament, you know, several times. You know, and it's a you know, that's not a gimme, and obviously Van Buren isn't either. Van Buren's a very good basketball team this year. Had a good run last year's tournament, and a lot of that experience is back this year to make another run. So, I mean, either one of those will be a tough out as well.
Yeah, I understand Van Buren looks good. I talked to Darren Garrison. He calls a lot of referees a lot of games, and he had them the other day, and he said they're tough. They're going to be, they will make their presence known in that tournament. So, well, just got to give you an idea. We're waiting for seed number 1 to come in. Just give you an idea of kind of how this works. We've got Josh I, one of our producers, up in Bloomfield, as the coaches discuss and vote on the seeds. And as those come in, we're going to give you those, and we're going to give you our analysis of those. But right now, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with you as soon as we have seed number 1 ready to share with you here on Aycorp Sports.
At Young Real Estate, we understand the importance of face-to-face interactions. Our experienced agents are here to listen to your needs and personalize your home buying or selling experience. But we also recognize the power of technology. Young Real Estate offers virtual showings, allowing you to explore properties from the comfort of your own home. Young Real Estate, where technology meets a personal touch. Your dreams, our expertise. Contact us today and let's make your dream home a reality. At Young Real Estate, we understand the importance of face-to-face interactions. Our experienced agents are here to listen to your needs and personalize your home buying or selling experience. But we also recognize the power of technology. Young Real Estate offers virtual showings, allowing you to explore properties from the comfort of your own home. Young Real Estate, where technology meets a personal touch. Your dreams, our expertise. Contact us today and let's make your dream home a reality.
Mathis Funeral Home of Dexter and Bernie strives to provide their community with the accommodations and services needed to relieve your family during times of loss. For more information, give them a call and see how Mathis Funeral Home can help meet your expectations in celebrating your loved ones.
At SEMO Health Network, we strive to provide caring and affordable health care. We provide medical, dental, OB, and behavioral health services to everyone that may need it. For more information, visit our website and let SEMO Health Network take care of you.
Your animals depend on you every day. So we build equipment you can depend on every day. So cutting hay, feeding livestock, and managing land is easier. Loaded with intuitive, innovative features and tech, Case IH equipment isn't just built to work. It's built to work for livestock producers. Case IH, built by farmers. Talk to your Baker Implement dealer today.
In farming, the weather always cooperates. The soil is always balanced. Seedlings always flourish.
But that's fantasy. This is farming. Seed, bred and tested for your reality. Dynagrow Seed, for real.
Not saying we'll bubble wrap your money, but we do protect it like family. At First State Bank and Trust, your money is safe with us. First State Bank and Trust.
At Southern Bank, we're never not helpful.
Attaboy. Way to hustle for the muscle.
Helping positive gym bros and everybody else.
Welcome back to the Aycorp Studios here in Malden, Missouri. We are ready to break down the seeds as they come in. But before we do, this year is going to be a little different for us here at Aycorp. Not only are we doing the Bloomfield Christmas Tournament this year, we're also doing the Southeast Missourian Christmas Tournament in Cape Girardeau. So we're excited about that. Guys, tell us a little bit about what do you think about us doing that tournament as well?
Look, the people have been asking for it. On social media, you look at that deal, they've been asking for somebody to do this. And, man, it's a privilege for us to be able to come in and do that. I'm not sure. Luke could tell me if I'm going to be up there doing any games or not. But, we'll figure that out as it goes, but man, it's something neat. They've never allowed this, and for Aycorp to have that spotlight, I think it's great, guys.
It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously you have the two best tournaments in Southeast Missouri over Christmas, and you're going to be live streaming them. That's fantastic, and the fans are going to love it. It's going to just give a lot more access to a lot more people who have to work on some days whenever the tournament's going on, and there's going to be some good games up there as well. I mean, there's some interesting things that are going on in that tournament with some smaller schools kind of making a push this year. So it's going to be a very interesting tournament and a great time to be to start a partnership with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like the dynamic of the big school, small school. I mean, this year you got some small schools that's going to have something to say as far as, maybe one of the top seeds. You look at the Woodland Cardinals, led by Kinder and Coach Kinder, historic run he had last year, won the first ever district title in the history of their school and going on to the Final Four. And then, you've got a lot of those, playing in a premier arena as far as the Show Me Center in Cape Girardeau. Matt Asher is the tournament director, superintendent at Bell City. I've known Matt for 30-plus years. He's going to do a great job at that. I know Michael Minner helps at the scores table, but it's a well-run tournament. I've covered it on the radio side of things, back when I was doing stuff for the Charleston Blue Jays. So it's going to be a fun tournament. Hopefully I'll get a few games up there, and we'll make the track up and down Highway 25 and bring you the best coverage we can.
Imagine the Show Me Center, how packed it'll be if you have a small school playing a big school for a championship.
Absolutely.
I've seen some of that with Advance winning it years back, and Scott County Central for a lot of years. And when you get a small school playing a big school for that championship, that gym, that Show Me Center is just rocking, and with everybody rooting for that small school except for the fans of the fans of the big school.
Oh yeah, and I would say I would think we all agree Jackson's probably going to get the number 1 seed there. That comes out tomorrow, but those seeds do. But I like Jackson. I think Woodland's earned that right. They didn't lose a whole lot from last year's team. They still had a ton of kids coming back. They won their tournament convincingly. Cape Central was the number 1 seed. They did not do convincing work to give me them a 2 seed. They could even fall farther, but I struggled to put Cape Central behind Notre Dame or Charleston when they seeded and finished higher than them over there. So I think it should go Jackson, Woodland, Cape Central, Notre Dame, Charleston up there.
I would have no problem putting Cape Central down at the 6 or 7 seed without Edwards. If they say that Edwards is not going to be playing in that tournament, I would have no problem seeing them.
So you're fine punishing them even though they finished higher than Notre Dame and Charleston?
Absolutely, yes, because of what I see on the court, and that team is not the same as when Edwards is there. So yeah, I wouldn't. If I was a coach, I would push them down a lot further, even though they finished 4th in the SEMO conference.
But you don't think Puxico then now has to be number 1 over Dexter?
No,
because you're dismissing Cape Central.
I am, yes.
Okay.
That's why, and I think that's why he said last night's game made the difference.
Right.
Yeah. Would have been Puxico if they had not played well last night.
Yeah, because I mean, that kind of overshadowed how Dexter played against Cape Central.
So
decide and vote down there, James.
No, well, I'm with you. I think you got to go, with how it played out in the tournament that we covered. And, Cape Central did finish higher, over Notre Dame and Charleston. I think Woodland's made a case for number 2. We'll see. I think Jackson's definitely earned the number 1.
Yep.
But again, as I mentioned previously with this tournament here, I feel like Dexter's earned the right. Now, whether they go on and win the tournament, Puxico, Bernie, and I failed to mention Van Buren, but they were definitely on my radar. Other teams will have a say-so about it, but, as far as finishing in the SEMO conference ahead of Notre Dame and Charleston, I feel like you got to give the nod to Cape Central.
Well, thank you to both Matt Asher, director of the Cape tournament, and Kyle Keith, director of the Bloomfield tournament. Both of them did interviews with Joe Northern that played last night, and we're thrilled to be partnering with both those schools and both those tournaments again this year. Let's talk quickly about, you've already mentioned Landon Burchard, and he's your probably number 1 player to watch. But who else are we going to look at out there as to, who else are we looking for?
I mean, I think you got to look at, John Aycorp, at Bernie, and I mentioned that I did, most of the play-by-play for the Bernie, and he's a dynamic player. He's starting to go with any self. He's got his first career dunk, you know, at a high time on the home court, and you know he's one that you're going to have to watch. But you know they got kids on the outside that can really fill it up. You know, Blaine Morgan, Kane Hobgood, and Geiling. I mean, they've got, you know, the Arnold kids. I mean, they're just a lot of talent, and they can make things happen fast, really quickly as far as inside out. And you know that's kind of my guy right there.
Bobby, who you got?
You know, I'm going to go Gary Tilley. I got an up close look at Gary Tilley up there at Buren, and I'm going to tell you right now, nobody's got an elevated, especially fadeaway jumper on a pivot. He'll pivot and just fadeaway jump and knock that shot down. Nobody else in the tournament can do that shot as well as he does. Tilley can carry Richland some. I don't know how far he can carry them, but he's a player. I think he's going to get face guarded a lot, and that's why you got to play him. But boy, he can shoot the basketball.
Go ahead, David.
I've got two names. Obviously, Elijah Ibrahim from Dexter. He had a great tournament there at the SEMO Conference tournament. But a name that's, you know, a lot of people haven't mentioned, but his first year in the tournament is Drew Fowler for Malden. He's a very good player, been a really great addition to that Malden team, and just has really done a nice job so far this season. I think he could have a big tournament.
All right, well, we've got our first seed in. So, guys, you were absolutely right. The Dexter Bearcats take the #1 seed in our tournament this year. They're in the Stoddard County Conference and the SEMO Conference, Class 4, District 1. They're 3-3 on the season with wins against Malden, Charleston, Cape Central. They had a loss against Sykeston last night, but that loss is what put them over the top. Last year, they finished. They came in seeded third, and then lost in the championship game in that overtime game against Puxico that you mentioned, David. So, Bobby, kick us off. What do you think about this #1 seed?
You know, Dexter shows some different looks and different things in this tournament. They've always been a team in the past who love the three. They still shoot the three well, but they can work it inside, outside. Last night was the best team basketball Dexter's played in a couple years, matter of fact. They shared the basketball well, had several kids hitting the scorebooks. You know, I like the way they run that. I think playing Dexter, you're going to have to throw several defenses at them, you know, traps, presses, pull back into a half court. I mean, don't let them settle into an offense, and don't let them get in rhythms. You got to constantly change the flow at them. You know, use those traps coming straight out of a timeout, you know, because Coach Allen will prepare for something in the game that he's seeing. Hit him with something different right away because, I mean, he knows how to coach them. He's been in the game a long time. But I'm going to tell you, if you think you're going to sit in a zone and play them all night long, you better leave the bus running because you're going to get out of there quick that night. We're all going home early. Dexter will shoot you out of that and have it a running clock in the second half.
James?
Yeah, Dexter, I mean, gosh, dog, you know, Ibrahim, tough underneath. You know, I think he's probably got a case for being one of the top players in the tournament. Sapavito, I felt like he did an excellent job breaking the press. Geatley, I mean, the quarterback, you know, floor general out there, and I'm impressed with the Nichols kid. I mean, for a freshman, I mean, that kid is not afraid to go to the hoop, shoot outside. I mean, he gets in there and battles. Dexter's going to be a tough out, and I feel like they've earned it on the court. So we'll see how it plays out. So,
David?
Yeah, Dexter, I mean, they look good, especially last night, but you know, I mean, they've got good guard play. I think the addition of Nichols helps their ball handling a little bit, gives another ball handler out on the floor. They've not been turning it over the way they did last year. I think that's been a positive for them. Ibrahim has improved a ton from last year, especially you know, scoring wise. And I think it's you know, they're going to be, like you said, a tough out. My question is, they don't go very deep on that bench. You've got to play 4 games in 5 days to win it. That's, you know, that could be a lot of you know, a lot of legs, you know, getting a little tired there at the end, and that kind of ran into them last year, you know, late in the game against Puxico. So I think it's important for them to get out to some big leads early in these the first 2 rounds, and get you know, get some guys on the bench playing to kind of save their legs for later on this tournament.
Let them rest a little bit. Our #2 seed, the Puxico Indians, coached by Bryant Frenetti. They are in the Stoddard County Conference and Ozark Foothills as of last year. Class 2 District 3, probably the best Class 2 district in the state. They're 5-0 in the season. Defeated Chadwick, Clearwater, Naylor, Neelyville, and Advance. So they've done well. Champions last year. They're coming back as champions. They bring back, as you guys mentioned, two all-state, all-tournament, two-time all-tournament selections in Jed Hancock and Landon Burchard. And so, James, kick us off. What do you think about the Puxico choice at number 2?
Yeah, Puxico, I mean, they're averaging 85.2 points a game. They've allowed 47 up to 4 points over the last season, which they'll need to improve. Landon Burchard, we mentioned before, had 2 40-plus games so far this season, 40 versus Neelyville and 41 versus the Richland Rebels, who's also in the tournament, averaged around 32 a contest. You got Jet Hancock, who's averaging 25 a contest. The new emerging star that we've talked off air about, this sophomore, Colton Stroud. You know, that kid's shooting north of 35% from 3. He's fast. He's averaged 18 a contest so far. Will Vegas, I mean, that kid's a beast inside, will be a rebounding machine. He's a nice addition, very good at cutting to the basket and getting them stick backs. Carson Long, he can shoot the 3, has really improved his perimeter defense this offseason. He's making it very frustrating for opposing guards on the perimeter. The bench is deeper, and with lots of bigs in the rotation, you got Mikey Dry. You will see a significant minutes, blue-collar worker near the basket, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Out there, and Colton Glazier, 6'2" junior, who has a good post moves and will rebound play on D in the paint. Drake Armstrong, a 6'5" sophomore, can shoot the 3, handles the basketball well, will play defense and rebound, moves extremely well for his size. And then don't leave out senior Aiden Owens. He will give the guards a 60-second breather. Not much scoring threat, but he can handle the ball under pressure.
So you're saying they're a lot deeper?
It sounds like it.
They are. They got a little depth.
Yeah, they've got a little depth this year, but they're still, led by Burchard and Hancock. Those two are going to set the pace for them. Burchard is just an outstanding scorer. Hancock can score as well. They do the little things as well. This is a team that's going to be a handful in this tournament. They won it last year. They know how to win it. This is a team that I expect to be there in that last game and on championship night. I think that this is a team that's set up for it.
I do too. I mean, they've got established stars in this game. You remember championship night last year? I gave you some numbers from 3 how they played with Burchard and without. I think there's 37% maybe with Burchard, 39%. Went to 19 without Burchard in those numbers. I don't think that's the case this year. I think they've steadied that three-point shooting a little bit more. A lot of people who can play it, when I'm playing them, you got to play them man. They just shoot it too well outside, and they're going to kill you there. But you got to body up against the big too. If you got to fight every rebound right there against Bogus. I mean, if he gets second chance opportunities at the block right there, he's going to beat you. I mean, that size. Offensively, attack the paint against this guy. Get him in foul trouble and get him out of there. If you do that, now you open up the lane for your own scoring and eliminate something they've got. Maybe a guy to run pick and rolls off of. He's so big right there. He's going to clear lots of spaces, and he rolls down. That's an easy look for Burchard. And keep it a half-court game. Yep. Do not let that team get out and run on you, because if they do, they're going to run up the score on you. You got to control pace and keep it slowed down and try to keep them out of rhythm, especially from deep.
They score a lot of points, though. Sometimes they like to move it up and down the court. So, our next number 3 seed, the Bernie Mules, coached by Jason Long in the Stoddard County Conference, Class 2 District 3 also. They're 3-0 in the season with wins against Holcomb, Risco, and Campbell. Got a couple of big games coming up next week against Bell City and Woodland. So we'll kind of test their mettle next week. Last year they came in as a number 2 seed, finished 3rd. They lost to Puxico in the semifinal and then defeated East Prairie for 3rd place. History at the BCT, they've made 11 appearances in the championship game and 3 championships. Graduated a couple seniors, but they bring back, you mentioned John Aycock, who as a sophomore was on the all-tournament team last year. So, David, what do you think about the Bernie Mules?
They're a very good basketball team. John Aycock is really nice player in the post, offensively and defensively. Key for him, I think, is to stay out of foul trouble. But they've got some shooters on the outside with Kane Hobgood, Blaine Morgan. They can really shoot it. And if they get hot, they are tough to stop. I think you've got to really put some pressure on them and not give them easy looks. You talked about zoning up Dexter, and you have a long day. You can't zone up Bernie either. They will burn you in a zone. So they're just a very good basketball team, and I think that kind of Geiling kind of paces them a little bit, and they kind of feed off him a lot. They just have a really nice basketball team.
Bobby?
Team full of kids who can score. So interesting, and I'll play off what you're saying there, Jinx, but Aycock's the best big man in the tournament, right? I think so. Yeah. So you said you can't play him zone, but do you want to play the best big man in a tournament man-to-man down there in the post? I think that's dangerous, but then again, you got shooters. Here's where I think you're right, though. You got to play him man because Bernie goes through scoring droughts because he likes to shoot three a lot. And sometimes they're slow getting that ball in to the best big man in a tournament. If they're slow and they're not wanting to feed that ball down to Aycock, you're right. You play him man and you take your chances there, but you got to have backside help come up. Look, he's going to get his points, but you just can't let him beat you in those games. But playing them man, you're asking a lot of whoever's got to guard him that game. Again, Bernie can score, and hey, Bernie can win this tournament too. Don't kid yourself. They've got a really good team, but they got to stay hot and move that ball.
Yeah,
James?
I just think again, covering that tournament, Bernie, the way they make, some really good teams, in my opinion, the Risco Tigers and Campbell Camels, kind of made them look bad at times, but I think, with the addition of Geiling, I mean, that he takes a lot of pressure off of Blaine Morgan and Kane Hobgood, and I think that's kind of the missing piece that might make them make a deeper run and have a chance to win this thing.
Sure.
So we'll see how it plays.
Our number 4 seed, Van Buren Bulldogs, coached by Jacob Black, Big Springs Conference. They're 4-0 in the season. Last year they came in seeded 7th, so they've moved up this year. They won first round. They lost to Donovan, or lost to East Prairie in round 2, and then lost to Risco in round 3. So they were out after the third night, but only because they ran up against a really tough Risco team there in the third round. Bobby, tell us what you think about Van Buren Bulldogs.
Look, team that loves to play fast. I mean, they're going to get up and down the court on you quick. Carter Freeze is the best threat they got from three, but they still got other kids who can, loaded with experience. This team has a ton of kids who've played the game at the high school level already. They handle presses well. Not a ton of size again, but, they got to stay focused in that rebound area, and I think they will. Look, on paper, this team should be playing for a top 4 spot right here. But they're the team that loves to break my heart. They're my favorite team to call the last 2 years because they have the most dramatic comebacks, but they always leave me standing at the altar kind of deal. And I'm going to tell you, Van Buren, if you can get to Game 4, and I'm calling that game Day 3, I will personally take off my headset and come down there and congratulate each and every one of you for getting in a top 4 spot and playing for either the 3-4 or the 1-2. So, Van Buren, don't let me down this year. I'm pulling for the Bulldogs.
There you go. James?
Yeah, again, I haven't covered them yet, but, a win against a quality Richland Rebel team, I mean, that speaks for itself and everything. But, Coach Black, he does a lot of motivational stuff with these guys with the experience. It seems like, every year having them, seems like they draw East Prairie somehow every year over the past, the Van Buren and East Prairie folks will get a chuckle out of that. But, Van Buren, again, my apologies for not mentioning them in the opening, but, make it, I think this is the year that they make it to night 4 and have a chance to, maybe get to the finals. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think their experience is big for them. I think they start 4 seniors, and like I said, they're not very big. They're all about 6'1" or 6'2", but they're very interchangeable parts. They've got some strength. They handle the ball well. So I think this is a team that earned a lot of experience last year. They had that really nice game, I believe, with Donovan in the opening round where they went, played them in overtime and got the win and played some tough games. Lost a tough one to Risco, but they got a lot of valuable experience, and I think this is a team that, like I said, they're playing really well right now. So I think this is a team that could make some noise.
Number 5, Malden Greenwave, kind of the new look Malden Greenwave under Coach Steve Fowler in his first year there at Malden, coming over from Campbell. They're in the Boot Hill Conference, Class 3, District 1. They moved to Class 3 with wins over Donovan, Twin Rivers, and Campbell, a loss to Dexter, which we mentioned in our opening. They've had kind of a rocky road the last few years. 2 years ago, they won the championship. Last year, they were the 14 seed. This year, they're back up to 5. So they went out after 2 games last year, struggled. They lost to Dexter, and they lost to Bloomfield. But this is a team that has made some noise early in the season. So we'll see how that carries over into the actual tournament. James, what do you see from the Malden Greenwave?
Yeah, I think, in Malden, just down the road, here in town, they've fallen on hard times as far as their athletics up, in the fall with football. And Coach Fowler, a native of Malden's, kind of restored some pride here in town. Yep. I mean, just coming in town today, you see a lot of the green around, people wearing their school colors again, and with the addition of the Fowler kid, I mean, and then you got wins over Twin Rivers, who really good quality win up at the Woodland tournament over East Prairie, and then wins over Donovan. I look for Malden to kind of do what Malden historic things in the tournament and kind of return to kind of their glory days. And, they might not be there this year, but, they may be a year or two away. But I think they're definitely going to have something to say for as far as the better teams in the bracket.
Bobby?
Much improved, no doubt, from last year. This is a team that's going to harass you a lot defensively. They're going to get up and guard you, and they're going to make you handle the basketball well. So be prepared to handle a lot of pressure with them. I actually like them better when they play man to man than they do when they're in zone. I just think they create a lot more chaos on the floor. As long as the refs not going to call them for being too handsy there, I mean, look out. This team's going to turn you over a lot. The name I've got for them, Moncrief. Boy, he can score. He and Fowler together are dynamic. And don't forget, that they're a team without Zion Bell this year. He's a premier player in there. That's something you look into the next year. Malden's playing really good basketball. A top 5 team. I think they can challenge. I need to see it during this tournament, but I think they can challenge. I think you play them probably zone right here. I know that's saying zone and Fowler can shoot it, but look, I would rather look at you trying to shoot a 3 than give up the rim against a team like Malden because they're quick. They'll drive and want to finish at the rim. Play them zone. I mean, just don't let them get to the rim and score on you like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Tristan Moncrief. He is an athletic specimen. He can just jump out of the gym. He's fun to watch. Drew Fowler, though, you zone him up. Drew Fowler's going to have some open looks, and he's going to bury him. He's a really nice shooter. He's been a really nice addition for them. Coach Fowler does a great job with them, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody in this tournament. I like the little Xavier Harris too, the little guard that can create some havoc there. Like you said, in the man-to-man, he's pretty quick. So they've got some athletes. They're going to be a tough team to play in this tournament.
Well, you mentioned, James, that Malden had a win over Twin Rivers. Twin Rivers are number 6 seed. They did have that loss to Malden in that Woodland tournament. They come out of the Ozark Foothills Conference. Austin Birmingham's their coach. Last year, they came in as the 9th seed and won you lost first round, but ended up winning the consolation game to win the consolation final. So, David, what do you think about the Twin Rivers Royals?
Bobby, you said that Van Buren breaks your heart. Twin Rivers broke my heart last year. I picked them in an upset in the first round game, and they got turbo clocked. But then they rebounded and played really well the rest of the tournament and won that consolation. They've got a lot of those guys back. Eli Heckenberg, Will Parker. There's some good players for them. They're a very solid basketball team. They can shoot a little bit outside. They got a little bit of size. Had a good win over East Prairie in the Woodland tournament, and I think they could be a tough out for somebody in the quarterfinals. But they've got to be able to put together four games in 4 nights, I think, or 4 games in 5 nights, I guess. But they've got to be able to put those together, and I think that. But they've got some good players.
James.
Yeah, again, with you mentioned Heckenberg. I've watched that kid grow up. Went to school with his dad, Scott, and a fine ball player. He's kind of a spark plug for them. And historically, Twin Rivers is a proud program. I think they took the first step last year and winning the consolation. And this year, I don't think they break your heart. I mean, I think they're gonna make some things happen in the tournament, and they're definitely a team to watch for me personally. So.
I'm not with you there, James. I'm gonna tell you this team is gonna break your heart. But let's go through the good right now. Will Parker can shoot. The boy can shoot, so you better guard him from three. But this team lacks good post play for scoring, and they lack a true point guard. Heckenberg's a good player, really good out top defensively, causes turnovers. But, I just think that you're going to score against them down low. Push the floor. I mean, they don't get back well enough on defense. You can score when they're in those zones. You can score on a block on them. I don't think they rotate well there, especially if they're in that 1-2 or 1-3-1. I think that's a great opportunity to score on them. Look, I'm not impressed enough with them. You got to be in the top six to win the tournament, right? It's what history says. They're my first team out in the top six.
Our out of the top six, number 7 is the Risco Tigers, led by longtime coach Brandon Blankenship out of the Tri-County Conference. Last year was their first time into the tournament. We welcomed them in last year. They're 4-1 on the season, wins against Neelyville, Bloomfield, Oran, and Delta C7. The only loss was to the Bernie Mules, but it was a significant loss in that Bernie tournament semifinal. Last year they came in with the 6th seed, finished one place above that as the 5th place winner. They do bring back All-Stater Owen Fortner, who was on the all-tournament team last year. So, Bobby, what do you think about the Risco Tigers?
It all runs through Fortner and Rogers. I'm a big fan of Rogers. I like his energy. He gets that good shot form going when he spots up from three on the wings, especially. Man, he's just a really good shooter. Also, a team that gets up a ton of shots. The more shots they get up, the better. And you got to stay with them because they're going to rebound. They're going to get a ton of shots. The run out points. Definitely a team from three. So you can play them zone. Just be careful. You better be ready to move and get out and play defense right there. You got to guard it. But if you play them zone, and you try to get out and guard that three, it's going to open up that. Watch Fortner on the rebound and a putback. Defensively, I like them when they play man. Again, they're a team in that 1-3-1. I think that leaves them highly vulnerable to the baseline cuts. I saw that in the Bernie tournament some. That baseline runner right there just feeds down the corner three. Teams are beating them there because they don't rotate out fast enough. So I think Risco has got to be careful when they play zone. Give me the man against them. But if they play zone, look down low in those corners in the baseline.
David?
Yeah, I think boxing one, they really struggled against that, against Bernie. Bernie ran that boxing one against them, and they struggled to find their shooters. But like you said, Fortner and Rogers, they're a nice 1-2 scoring punch. They just have to. I think they need to find that third guy that can really help them out a little bit. Obviously they like to push the tempo, but they can get hot from outside, and they're fun to watch whenever they do get hot. But I think they're a team that can be a lot of fun to watch, and if they do get hot, they could cause some problems.
Yeah, I think I covered that tournament again. I've seen Risco firsthand, and Eli Rogers. I think he had a 31-point game. Mm-hmm. So I covered the boxing one game. He's very dangerous. You leave him open. He can knock it down quick. And then Owen Fortner underneath, he's an all-stater from last year coming back. He's proven. I was one of the ones that I was happy about Risco getting in last year. I think, Coach Blankenship, they deserve to be in the tournament and done a great job. And I think that, if Rogers gets hot from the inside and Fortner dominates on the inside, they could be a tough out for anybody.
Let's round out the first half of our bracket. East Carter County is our number 8 seed. The Redbirds, coached by Benji Stahl now. Benji Stahl is there at East Carter County. They come from the Black River League and the Ozark Foothills Conference, Class 2, District 2. 4-1 on the season with wins 5-1 on the season because they beat Donovan last night. So that was their 5th win of the season. They came, again, they're another team that was back in after 14 years out of the tournament, so they're back in last year. They lost to Twin Rivers in the consolation semifinal, and so left the tournament after day 3. But, where are we at with East Carter County, James?
Well, Coach Stahl, I think, coming in from Greenville, Coach Stahl kind of ended my dreams last spring in the district semifinals at Kelly when they, coaching the baseball team. Mm-hmm. But I know that the folks over in East Carter County have welcomed him with open arms. His son has stayed and played, and with me coaching baseball, we played him in baseball, so I get to see him. But I think he's going to be a great addition coming in, and East Carter, a lot of tradition there, and the 8-9 game is usually a fun one. It should be historically the closest game, and kind of I like the big school, small school dynamic of playing the Kennett Indians, so that one should be a fun watch. But the only thing is the winner is going to get Dexter. So you got that. So look for East Carter.
David? They've got a lot back from last year. Price, he can shoot it. Stahl, you mentioned him. He's a big, strong kid. Got some height. They've kind of beat some lesser competition early, but they played South Iron fairly well. They don't shoot free throws well, and that could be a big problem for them. But they're very, very experienced. They've been playing a lot of these guys for several years now, so they've got some experience, and they're going to be tough in that 8-9 game.
I tell you, I like East Carter best when they're playing in transition. They get run-out points. They get it out to their guards and let them go score well there. In the half-court sets, though, they've got to find ways to feed this ball to Stahl. Their guards are just not throwing it in enough. They get a little three-happy, and they're inconsistent from three when they're shooting that. They'll knock down a couple, then they go on a drought. They may not hit one for the rest of the game kind of deal. So, look, if I'm playing them, I'm playing them zone. You struggle to get the ball inside of the post. You get three-happy and you're not hitting enough, your inconsistency. Play them in zone, I think teams will be fine there. When they're on defense, I think teams with good guards can blow by them up top, and now you're going to get an aggressive player stall and foul trouble. And I think that's the way I want to play them right there. Look, just blow by them, get by them. If they're in the zone, just swing it and then blow by them. I think you get there. Additionally, if you cut well, I like your chances too, because these guards are not as fast out top, I think, so you can get by that first layer. Now all the pressure's on the big man down in the post.
So our first 8 seeds: Dexter, Puxico, Bernie, Van Buren, Malden, Twin Rivers, Risco, and East Carter. James already gave away our number 9. You stole my thunder.
Oh, sorry.
It's the Kennett Indians.
Sorry.
It's the Kennett Indians, coached by Cole McBroom. It's his second year over down at Kennett, coming over from Twin Rivers last year out of the SEMO Conference. Class 4 District 1, they're 1-3 on the season. They had a win against Corning, Arkansas. They lost to Bakersfield in that Current River tournament, and then lost to New Madrid and Notre Dame in the SEMO Conference tournament last week. So last year they came in as the number 5 seed and went out on night 3 with losses to Bernie and Richland. Both really good teams last year. Kennett has a strong history in this tournament. They've won it 9 times, second only to Dexter, 9 times in 16 championship appearances. But this year they're coming in as the 9 seed. David, what do you think about the Kennett Indians?
They play really hard. I mean, they really get after you, but the problem is they just struggle to find scoring. And they lost Dyson Watson off of last year's team, and after seeing them play a few times in the SEMO Conference tournament, they just struggle to find somebody that can consistently score for them. I think that's their biggest concern, and something that they have got to get figured out before this first round of the Bloomfield Christmas Tournament. I mean, they've got Sire Thomas is a nice player. Ty Jones is a quick guard for them. Zane Franklin is kind of the forward for them that has a little size, but they've just got to figure out some way to find some scoring, and I think that's kind of their biggest thing right now.
Bobby?
I agree with you. They're struggling offensively. They lack flow. Ty Jones gives a lot of effort out top as a point guard, but he's a kid really probably suited better as a 2 to 3 guard. Really, I like him as a 3, a slashing guard through the lane. But he's their best option at point. That's kind of where they are. I agree. Thomas is their best post player, but that they've got to depend on him to get post points, especially in this tournament. This is a little different than SEMO Conference. Attacking teams there with Thomas on the block, I think, but. For this team, I think a good defense is going to be their best offense. They've got to get steals and turnovers, maybe in, playing out top, get a turnover and a steal and get a layup there. But I can tell you in that 8-9, boy, Kennett's got to find a way to turn Twin Rivers over. Yeah.
Again, with Kennett, I think, I know they struggled, open up, losing in the SEMO Conference to New Madrid County Central Eagles. Had trouble scoring. I mean, they're probably a team that's, you know, you look to maybe get better as the year goes by playing in the SEMO Conference. With that being said, they're going to probably be taking some tough losses, maybe some lopsided losses, but this is a tournament where they can get some wins in. You know, now whether it be in the winner's bracket or on the consolation side, I think Coach McBroom is going to look for positives and try to get some wins and to find maybe that spark plug on offense, you know, heading into the new year. And I agree with you, Bobby, you know, maybe using your defense, that might be your best offense, and try to get things going in transition.
All right, number 10, East Prairie Eagles, coached by Gary Scott, Mississippi Conference, Class 3, District 1. They're 2-2 on the season, wins against Perryville and Chaffee, losses to Twin Rivers and Leopold. Last year they came in as the number 2 seed, ended up finishing in 4th place. They lost a lot off last year's team. So what do you see, Bobby, what do you see out of the East Prairie Eagles?
I think Jay White's going to be their most important player out top. He's the one that's going to make it happen for them. You know, beyond White, I think they struggle handling the basketball great. Just a team that kind of lacks experience and polish at this point. You know, they had such a deep team last year that started. And knowing that they're not a tremendously deep team, I think they got to stay out of foul trouble. Well, if I know they got to stay out of foul trouble and they're not deep, what I'm going to do, I'm going to attack the rim on them. I think teams want to get inside, just feed down there. And once you start getting one, you know, try to blow past White if you can, make him to get a touch foul, reach foul, you know, reach anything there to get him in trouble. Once he leaves the floor, I think East Prairie is in a lot of trouble.
James?
I think, you know, with East Prairie, you know, Jay White had the big shot up at Chaffee. That was a nice win for them. You know, Chaffee was coming in, and I still think they're going to have a good year in the Scott Miss. You got Tavion Ware down low, along with August Kennedy. You got some freshmen that's coming in, going to give some good minutes as far as Noah Wolford and Blake Olin. I know Coach Scott, just talking with him, is real high on them. Chase Childers can really shoot it from the outside. You know, he had some, you know, as far as split time with JV and varsity, that's a kid can get hot. But, you know, anytime you lose an all-state player like Noah Johnson, or, you know, a point guard like Connor Markham and you know, Ty Wallace, it's going to be tough for the Eagles this year. But I still look for them to be competitive and fight. And Coach Scott is going to get the most out of his players.
I tell you what, I think East Prairie is a lot better than what I thought they were going to be when the year started, and I think they're a little underseeded in this tournament. I think they're a little bit better than the 10 seed. I do like Childers. I think he is really active and does a really nice job. And like you said, Jay White is a good player, but you know, Travion Ware as well. I think those are some guys that can cause some problems, and I think this is a team that's going to have an opportunity to play all 4 nights.
All right, our number 11 seed, the Portageville Bulldogs, coached by T.J. Smith out of the Boot Hill Conference, Class 3, District 1. They're 1-3 on the season. They lost to Bloomfield, Neelyville, and Caruthersville. Their sole win came against Clarkton, very young Clarkton team. Last year, they were the number 13 seed. They lost in the first 2 rounds, so they didn't get to stay very long last year. Coming in as the 11 seed this year. James, what do you see from the Portageville Bulldogs?
I think Jack Bell is, you know, a very dynamic player. You know, just covering the Bernie tournament, you know, that's a kid, you know, took it coast to coast. He can shoot it from outside. He can hammer it down low. You know, they got some big kids down low. They've got a little youth. They've got some freshmen. You know, the Farr kid coming off the bench. He can light it up. So, you know, I think, and, you know, the Farr name runs deep in New Madrid County. This time it's, you know, it's on the Portageville side of things. But I think T.J. Smith's going to get a lot of his kids. But, you know, this is a team that could create some problems for some teams and some matchup problems.
Bobby?
You know, who are the Portageville Bulldogs? We saw them play slow and play disastrously down at Bernie. Then we saw them play fast a game, and they looked a lot better, and they decided to quit playing slow. I like them when they want to push the floor. I think they get up and press. You push the floor, do things there. They're a lot better team. Jack Bell and Antonio Hickenbottom are the key to that energy, too. I mean, those guys have got to get after it, and, boy, if they're not, this team's probably not. Also, I think you have to play this team in zone. They cannot shoot the ball outside at all. I mean, I'm just not very pleased with the way they shoot the three. And knowing that they can't do that, I think they kind of struggle, too, to understand how to get the Bab kid involved down there. He's a 6'5", 6'6" kid, but they're struggling to get him involved in the offense. I think you can play him in zone and beat this team. So that's something that I think the matchup they've got round one will happen. It's just can their matchup round one keep up with their speed if they want to play that way. But if they played a slow game, you're looking at a win against Portersville.
Yeah, this is a team that did not play well in the Bernie tournament, but some of that is due to they were playing football pretty late in the year. A lot of these guys played football, and it does take some time to get into that basketball frame, and they did not look like they were back in that basketball frame, but they seem to have been playing a little bit better since then. And so, like you said, I think that they're getting better. The quicker they play, the better they play.
Absolutely. Number 12 seed, our host for the tournament, the Bloomfield Wildcats, coached by their young coach, Ben Sindel. The Stoddard County Conference, Class 2, District 3. They're 3-3 on the season with wins against Greenville, Portersville, and Gideon. Losses to Campbell, Risco, and Chaffee. Last year, they came in as the 11th seed. They lost to Risco in the first round. Again, really tough Risco team. They defeated Malden and then defeated Donovan in the third round. Lost in the consolation final to Twin Rivers last year. So, what do you think about the Bloomfield Wildcats, David?
Coach Sindel is going to have them prepared. He's a very good coach who doesn't have the most talent, but they always seem to be prepared whenever they take the floor, and they understand themselves. They know that they're not a team that's going to run up and down the floor and score 80, 90 points. They are very defensive minded. They've got a nice freshman in Braden Upchurch who's kind of been the scoring option for him this year, which I think was a big concern coming into the season. But he's been a pretty nice player for them, and so I think like I said, they're going to be prepared and they're going to play hard. And like I said, they understand themselves. They know how they got to play to win.
Bobby?
Yeah, pretty much second what he said. Ben Sindel just keeps finding a way to make this team competitive. They didn't return hardly anything offensively from last year. And then here they are competing every game they play in. The freshman Upchurch, he's developing very well. I think the key to playing this team is do not let Bloomfield control pace. When they control pace, you're going to find yourself in a dogfight. So whoever they play round one, look, you better control the pace, because if you get in a half-court game and they play it slow, that's not the situation you want to be in there.
Yeah, again, Coach Sindel, a Dexter native, coming over at Bloomfield, done a great job often. And then number 4, Braden Upchurch. I mean, that kid is one to watch here in the next few years. Look at Wyatt Golden, some of those guys. Bloomfield's a kid, and you got to consider they're on their home court. This is their tournament. They want to make a good showing, and Coach Sindel is one of those coaches. He's going to get the most out of his kids, and those kids play hard. They could pull an upset. I'm not saying it's going to be in the winner's bracket, but they could be a team that could go on, and you could see them on the final night, maybe playing for some consolation. So we'll see.
James, you mind handing me that real quick? Thank you. Our next seed is the 13 seed, the Richland Rebels. Richland comes in, again, as the 13 seed, coached by Matt Klein in the Stoddard County Conference. They're 2-5 on the season. Wins against Bell City and North Pemiscot. Losses to Van Buren, Bell City, Advance, and Puxico, and then to Bell City again last night. Last year they were the number 8 seed and finished above that as a 6th place seed. They returned, you mentioned Gary Tilley from last year. He was all-tournament and all-state last year. So they're back with him and the rest of their squad. So, David, what do you think about that team?
Obviously, we talked about Gary Tilley. They are a Gary Tilley team. How he goes is how the Richland Rebels go, and Bell City has shown that you can man him up and slow him down. If you can slow him down, they really kind of struggle to score. I think they've got to find a secondary scorer to help him out. They've got some size inside with Joshua Barnes and and Chet Hughes. They're big guys, but they're not real fast. So you can beat them down the floor in transition. So I think if you're playing them, you want to get them in an up and down game, try to beat them down the floor, and you get a rebound, just throw it out and try to push the ball. And I think that's a weakness right now for the Richland Rebels.
James?
Yeah, Gary Tilley, a player to watch. He's one that everybody in the area knows. I mean, he's seasoned. But again, as far as more of a half court set for them, I think you can push them in transition, maybe get some easy buckets, and they're going to want to maybe slow the game down a little bit. So we'll see how it plays out. As far as that might be a team that struggles this year a little bit, but they do have the talent. Definitely playing that Stoddard County Conference. They're going to be a team that I think gets better as the year goes by. And let's face it, that Stoddard County, that's going to be one of the toughest conferences around here.
Sure.
A lot of the teams are in this tournament, so we'll get an early look at them.
Yeah, I tell you, I talked to Coach Matt Klein earlier this year, and this is a team he likes, but he understands they are developing along the way. And with that, Gary Tilley's the top player in this tournament. I mean, he not the top player, but he's a top tier. The way he shoots the ball and elevates, you're not going to block his shot much. I mean, he just elevates really well. His size. A kid also, he doesn't have to play outside as a guard or a slasher. He will post up on you. So, keep that mind out on the block. He's going to spin move you inside of the rim and go up off the glass and score. He's going to spin move you away with a fadeaway jumper. He's tough, but you're right. This team has to find another score or he's going to be face guarded all night long. I mean, that's what I would do against him. I'm going to face guard him and say, hey, everybody else go beat me. And somebody has to step up that situation. For me, there's a couple things. This team has to be better with their bigs. I mean, you almost need to challenge those two guys to put on football pads and play. Hey, be tough down there. Because I thought they just really played kind of weak up there at the Orion tournament. They could have posted harder, really try to rip rebounds down harder. Those two guys have got to perform for Richland down on the post because it can't be just Gary Tilley in the post or Gary Tilley with the rebounds. Those guys got to help. They do have some kids, though, that try to fire up threes. And Cook and Hayden Connor, both of those guys like to play in transition. If they get a chance to get out and run, those two guys are going to push the floor and run. So watch them on a rebound and a kick out. They're going to go.
We're down to our last three seeds. Number 14, the Doniphan Dons, a team that's won this tournament in the past, a larger school in this tournament, but coming in with the 14 seed, coached by Hunter Dilbeck in the Ozark Foothills Conference. Class 4 District 1, they're 1-3 on the season with losses to Van Buren, Malden, and East Carter County just last night. So last year they were the number 10 seed in last year's tournament, so they've dropped a little bit. They end up losing to Bloomfield in the consolation semifinal last year. So, James, what do you think about the Doniphan Dons?
They've got a tough draw first round. Bernie, we mentioned them just leading in as they're, obviously a 3 seed, but one of the top 3. But, I know they're off to a slow start, a big loss against Van Buren. Doniphan, a lot of history there. But, again, I think this is a team that if they're going to make a run, it's going to have to be on the consolation side of things. So I don't know about the first round. With Bernie, it's just going to be a tough matchup for them.
David?
This is a kind of a strange Doniphan team. They don't have much size. Usually Doniphan's got a lot of big guys, and here first round they get to play John Aycock. Yeah. So have fun with that. But they've just started off slow this year. They again, not much size. They've only got one starter over 6 foot. They're not a great shooting team either. So that's a problem. They don't handle it great. So those are some problems that Doniphan's going to have to overcome here pretty quick whenever they match up with Bernie.
Yeah, Corey Haygood's the guy. I mean, for them, he can play inside, he can shoot outside, but he's got to have more help. This team that gets really reliant on the threes, and I think they play more cold than hot from threes. So that's not good. A team that also plays out of control at times. I think they just try to push the floor in a little helter-skelter wild, and that's not good for them either, especially against a team like Bernie first round. Presses and zones against this team is the way to go. If they're going to shoot cold from 3, go ahead and do it. They hadn't got a whole lot of size. I'll beat you on the boards, and then I'm depending on you not shooting it very well from outside. I think that's the best play to beat them and push Haygood away from the rim. Don't let him get inside. I mean, if he gets there, he's going to be dangerous. You'll pick up a couple fouls, but I'm going to sit in the zone all night against this team, no doubt. And I'm going to challenge you. And hey, if you shoot me out of the zone, good for you. But I would challenge you to do that first.
Our 15 seed, the Gideon Bulldogs, coached by Keenan Buchanan, out of the Tri-County Conference, Class 1, District 1. They're 3-1 on the season with 3-1 on the season. Losses to 3-2. Losses to Bloomfield and South Iron, but wins against Marquand Zion, Eagle Ridge Christian, and NEACHE out of Jonesboro. Last year, actually the last 3 years, they came in as the number 16 seed. This year they moved up to the number 15 seed and get Puxico again. They had them last year as the 16-1 game. They lost to Puxico and then lost to Twin Rivers. David, what do you got on the Gideon Bulldogs?
They did get some wins early. I mean, it was against some lesser teams, but they got some wins, and I think that was big for them. They did kind of get handled by Bloomfield a little bit, but they like to shoot the three, but they don't shoot them well. They're about 25% as a team, but they're going to get after you defensively. They're going to try to press. They're going to try to trap and create turnovers. Quick teams are going to be a problem for them. So Puxico is going to be a very, very big problem. And they don't shoot free throws well, but at the same time, they really get after it defensively, try to force turnovers, get some easy buckets. And, they could have, they're a team that could, surprise some people in the consolation bracket.
A couple of nice wins early. I have that. And then also, they took a non-competitive loss to Bloomfield. It wasn't that they lost. They didn't compete that game. They just got to find a way to stay more focused in the game plan. Not a deep team, so they do have thin glass in there, David, at Gideon. So go ahead and break the glass and get Knapp, Ochoa, and Weaver in trouble, and that's who's got to do it for them. But again, just break the glass and they're done.
James.
Yeah, Gideon, probably the most veteran coach team, I would say. Coach Buchanan's been around a long time. But again, and it's a team, if they can get hot from the perimeter, I know they've been cold. They could surprise some people, but for them, if it's going to get done, it's like they can escape the Puxico Indians.
Right.
We joked, talked about it off air a little bit, but, if they're going to get things done, it's going to have to be on the consolation side of things and just, small school, but hopefully they'll play hard and maybe they'll get hot and make things exciting for us. So
you did mention Coach Buchanan. He did get his 300th win just recently. So congratulations to Keenan Buchanan on his 300th win. And that brings us to our final seed, the Holcomb Hornets, out of the Tri-County Conference, coached by Gary Dubar, his first year at Holcomb. They're 1-3 on the season. They lost to Bernie, Neelyville, and Zenith Hornersville. They did have a win against Clarkton. Last year, they were the number 15 seed, lost to East Prairie and then to Donovan in the second round. So they're a number 16 seed. Bobby, what do you think about the Holcomb Hornets?
It's a team that likes a point guard. I think the kid running the point for them, he's probably the kid who needs to be their post player on the block, but they just don't have an option for a point guard, so he's got to go there. And with that said, rebounds are going to be tough for this team. I don't see them competing in that side of the game very well. Not a whole lot of kids who can handle the ball, so early on, I'm sure Coach Allen's probably going to press them some early on. They're going to make this a runaway win. For Holcomb, you got to find ways to compete now in a consolation bracket. And again, that's going to be tough. I don't know. They're going to have to put something different in the water down there for Holcomb because right now it's just not happening. I don't see it.
James, you saw him play some?
I did. And McNabb, to your point, Bobby, should be down the post. He kind of run the point more, definitely a stud on the baseball team in the spring, excellent pitcher. I know Bryce and been around him a little bit. Coach Dubar coming over from Neelyville. I think this is going to be a year they're going to struggle. And you draw a big school, not only a big school, but a really good big school that had a chance to win the SEMO conference in Dexter last night. To your point, I think Dexter's going to press and make quick work of them. And I don't even know if they can make them around the consolation side, but prove me wrong. So we'll see what happens.
David? Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much covered it. They kind of struggle with their ball handling. They don't have much of an offense. It's just kind of a struggle for them to score, in any way. And then teams they're not real quick, so teams can use some quickness to beat them. So yeah, they're gonna have the work cut out for them, and so we'll just we'll see what they can do.
So our second 8: Kennett, East Prairie, Portageville, Bloomfield, Richland, Donovan, Gideon, and Holcomb. So our 16 teams are set. We're going to take a quick break, maybe a couple of minutes to kind of catch our breath, and then we're going to come back and we're going to analyze a little bit of the bracket. Thank you for joining us here on Aycorp Sports.
Agriculture is not a fad, and it's not for the faint of heart. Long days become long nights, sacrificing time away from your family, even on weekends, just so you can get the crop in and get the crop out. This is your way of life. At Farm Credit Southeast Missouri, we are 100% bought into your commitment. Because we are customer-owned, it is our mission to be your ag lender, and we intend to be your value-added partner for next year and the long term.
Your ag lender will always be there.
Your animals depend on you every day. So we build equipment you can depend on every day. So cutting hay, feeding livestock, and managing land is easier. Loaded with intuitive, innovative features and tech, Case IH equipment isn't just built to work. It's built to work for livestock producers. Case IH, built by farmers. Talk to your Baker Implement dealer today.
At Young Real Estate, we understand the importance of face-to-face interactions. Our experienced agents are here to listen to your needs and personalize your home buying or selling experience. But we also recognize the power of technology. Young Real Estate offers virtual showings, allowing you to explore properties from the comfort of your own home. Young Real Estate, where technology meets a personal touch. Your dreams, our expertise. Contact us today and let's make your dream home a reality.
Mathis Funeral Home of Dexter and Bernie strives to provide their community with the accommodations and services needed to relieve your family during times of loss. For more information, give them a call and see how Mathis Funeral Home can help meet your expectations in celebrating your loved ones.
This is us.
In farming, the weather always cooperates. The soil is always balanced. Seedlings always flourish.
But that's fantasy. This is farming. Seed, bred and tested for your reality. Dynagrow Seed, for real.
At First State Community Bank, our why is simple: to bring a positive impact to every community we serve. We are your neighbors and partners in building a stronger hometown. We work side by side with our community to help local businesses grow and families succeed. Our team takes the time to understand what matters to you, combining personal services with the latest technology so you can bank your way. Stop by one of our locations or visit us at fscb.com.
At SEMO Health Network, we strive to provide caring and affordable health care. We provide medical, dental, OB, and behavioral health services to everyone that may need it. For more information, visit our website and let SEMO Health Network take care of you.
Welcome back to the Aycorp Sports Studio for our Bloomfield Christmas Tournament seeding show. We've given you our 16 seeds. You can see the bracket on the board behind us. So let's talk about that bracket, guys. Look at are there any matchups that you're excited about? Maybe first round matchups, maybe one that you might see down the road, second or third round. What gets you excited about the matchups you see on this bracket? James, let's start with you.
Well, I think East Prairie, has a bad draw there first round with Risco. We talked about it, as far as Fortner down low and Eli Rogers on the outside. I kind of thought, East Prairie might have a little bit better seed, but kind of a bad draw for them. Looking at the matchup there, the little Highway 25 matchup with Bloomfield and Malden, it's interesting. I think Malden does win there, but Bloomfield again playing on their home court. With Golden and Upchurch. If Upchurch gets hot, those are just two that stand out to me. But I'm not seeing too many upsets really in the first round. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I'm just not seeing too much.
Yeah, I don't see many upsets in this first round. Not even any kind of alert games in this first round. I know Bobby, you said Portageville Twin Rivers. You think that could be a possible first round game that we need to watch?
Currently, no. I think if Twin Rivers plays zone and Portageville works on getting the ball to the post quite a bit in practice, yes. I think if they come out and push the floor, yes. I just think Heckenberg right there is going to be too good out top. I mean, he can cause a lot of turnovers. I just don't see that, and I don't think today Portageville's defense is going to be able to get out and guard that perimeter as well. I think they can stop the paint. I just don't think they can guard the perimeter well. They're a team of Wilkinson, Parker, Heckenberg. They can all shoot threes. They can score points. But if there is going to be one in the first round, keep your eye on that one. But again, Portageville has to attack down there in the paint and score, and it's just not a team who's played well there. I think Twin Rivers again sit in zone, make them shoot threes. I don't think Portageville will be able to shoot them out of that. But if they do attack down low, that one could sneak in a little bit.
So David, let's look at the second round potential matchups. You've got, let's say it goes according to seeds, and you got Dexter against either East Carter or Kennett, Van Buren against Malden, which on paper looks like a pretty good matchup. Puxico against East Prairie or Risco, and then Bernie against Twin Rivers or Portageville, whichever team comes out of that one. Which one of those intrigues you the most?
Absolutely, the Malden-Van Buren game. I think that one is, Malden has the athletes and stuff that's going to be really tough for Van Buren to handle. I think that, if Malden can hit some outside shots and get out in transition, that could be an up and down game and a fun game to watch.
Absolutely. James, what are you thinking that second round?
For me, definitely that one. The athleticism of Malden, Fowler gets hot, Van Buren, that 4-5 matchup. And typically, historically in this tournament, that's been a highly contested game.
Sure.
But for me, that sticks out. So I have to agree with David on that.
I'm on the same game. I don't see anybody else upsetting round two. I think Van Buren, Malden. Boy, I'm up in the air on who to take on this game. I'm going Malden because it always happens to Van Buren. I want them to compete and win this game so bad, but again, guys, history tells me they just don't for some reason. Then they come back and play a fabulous, day three. But boy, Malden, don't sleep on this team if you're Van Buren at home. Van Buren, look, they are scrappy on defense. They're going to get after you. So, but one of my notes I said about Van Buren, they handle traps and presses well. I mean, they've got several kids out there, they're 6 foot, that handle the ball well. I think they're a team built well for that, but boy, I don't know. I need to see it out of them.
And Dexter, if they win, as we expect them to, they get the winner of that game in the semifinals. That could be that can be a tough matchup for them. We talked earlier about the 2-3 being a big semifinal game. But you know what? Either one of those teams could give Dexter a real challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of a rivalry game if that plays out. Let's say Dexter advances and Malden.
Yep.
That's rivalry games. You throw the records out. The kids know each other. The families know each other. So that could be something very interesting that we have coming down. Maybe in a day 3.
Yeah, if Dexter plays the way they did against Cape Central in the SEMO Conference semifinals, they've got big problems because that team that played that night is not going to beat a Van Buren or a Malden. If they play like they did against Sykeston for the most part of the game, I think they'll be just fine in that game. So you just got to, if you're Dexter, you just got to make sure you're playing your best of that semifinal game.
Yeah, and I see Dexter rolling through this deal. Look, Dexter's got 6'3" Abraham, 6'3" Sapavado, 6'3" Anderson down low, and they've got a 6'1" Devin Turnbow who can play like a 6'3".
Yes.
Nobody else has that down low. I mean, Dexter down low can beat you, and then they still got shooters outside. How do they play them? Malden played a man and caused some turnovers in that game. Got a little messy, but again, Dexter was early in the season. Last night, Dexter handled that very well. Yeah. There's a couple times they got sped up and turned it over, especially late in the game when that happened, but that was also offense and defense at the same time for Sykeston. Today, I don't see any one of those teams being able to knock off Dexter. They may surprise me, and the tournament can always change my mind, but I still like Dexter against either one of those two teams.
The interesting thing about it is that you're going to give Coach Allen and Coach Fowler, if they happen to win, or those coaches are going to get a day to prepare because we play Friday, Saturday, take Sunday off, and then Monday, Tuesday. So before that third round game, the coaches are all going to have a chance. They're going to know who their opponent's going to be, and they're going to be able to prepare specifically for that game. So, and if it does happen to be Malden, they know what happened the first time, and I guarantee you both of those coaches are going to be looking at that first game and coming back with a little different strategy.
But with that team cohesion Dexter's starting to develop, they didn't have that against Malden
Right,
game 1.
absolutely.
They did not have that. Last night, boy, they had it.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing Bernie, I can go out there and try to key on Aycorp. You're not going to beat me. If I'm playing Puxico, I'm going to face guard Burchard. If I'm playing Dexter, who do you take out of the game right there? Because they've got so many other kids stacked in there who can beat you. Now, championship night, if you're playing a Puxico or Bernie's a little different, but this game, I don't know. I mean, I don't see them being able to eliminate that one player for Dexter, saying he's not going to beat me, but the others will.
So, any team out there that you think could come up and I mean, you've mentioned that you didn't see a whole lot of upset possibility, but is there anybody that's not one of the top 2 teams that you think, 2 or 3 teams that you think has a chance to surprise some folks and maybe make a run?
Well, you got crickets.
I don't know. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, this is a very top-heavy tournament.
Yeah, it is.
I think this is the winner's going to come out of Dexter, Puxico, Bernie. I think it's going to be one of those 3.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, we've talked off air, and really, I think maybe the key to this tournament, to your point, Phillip, is that break in between, and that being prepared for a semifinal, and then with Dexter being the 1 seed and not being at 2 and 3 and beating up on each other in the semifinal, let's say the seeds do play out, that could come into play. But again, I think top heavy, top 3, Stoddard County, looks to reign supreme again this year in 2025, 2026, to me personally.
Well, and we're going to have that Stoddard County tournament later on in the season. That's going to be we'll do that from opening tip to championship presentation, and that's a fun tournament. It's going to be really good, really competitive again this year.
I think the game your eyes have to go to day 3 is that Bernie-Puxico matchup.
Absolutely.
I mean, that game's going to be fun.
Yep.
Bernie can beat Puxico, I think. They got a strong player in Aycorp down low who can attack Bogus inside. I like that matchup. Give me Aycorp. Outside, I think they can match up shot for shot on threes. I just think Puxico's probably better there. both teams can trap. Both teams can play man if they want to, play zones. That's a great matchup. Today, I'm picking Puxico. Now, that could change my mind, but I think Bernie is going to give them a handful out there, and I think it's key. Bernie has to attack inside for that game if they want to win it.
So, great analysis today. I appreciate the three of you joining us today, but we do have, if you want more analysis, just check out the SEMO Sports Zone with Drew and Dave. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, but leading up to this tournament, they're going to be having some good discussion about the SEMO Conference Tournament, but also about this tournament and the Southeast Missouri and Christmas Tournament, all of which you've seen here or will see here on Aycorp Sports. Well, that'll wrap things up from here in the studio. Here in Malden, Missouri, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you found this little time together enjoyable and informative. For Bobby Alford, James Hodges, David Jenkins, and all the folks behind the scenes, from Josh I at the Bloomfield Gym, thank you, Josh, Luke Carter, Andrew Moore, Spencer Magruder, and Tori Peterson right here in the studio. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in just over 309 hours from the historic Bloomfield High School Gymnasium. From everyone here at Aycorp Sports, have a very Merry Christmas.